Broadcasts will come with warning disclaimers.
Scared because she came without you.
I'll come back and flip all this shit over.
I'ma wake up. You just wait and see.
What if you walk down the street with closer clutched purses, silent under the breath curses, people thinking you were only good for basketball and hip hop verses?
Don't get it fucked up. It's love in here.
When my wife found out the tumor was malignant, she called it her asshole.
Just another office where my body ricochets from dosages to side effects like earthquakes, sweating.
Speak a lot, speak aloud. Cry like hell, sob endless.
It's an everyday battle.
No more pain echoing through bones, just raw matter again.
A permanent fixture in my mind's museum, I still haven't met a monument as magical.
In this terrarium of light and dark.
As you reminisce of the days when your TV screen was black and heavy on the white.
A girl who always comes through a clutch, a rider, a Bonnie, without a Clyde. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend.
I cried more tears than Smokey's clown.
I knew where I'd find you.
But one day I looked up and it was just gone.
We are paying for gas with rivers and the endangered river salmon gasping in the mud.
And many a criminal's plotted death in drunken tones on smoky breath.
Making a hell for queer kids in a space where they're supposed to learn.
And they are not silent, nor porcelain.
Sometimes family has a hard time distinguishing or being honest about the things that are dangerous and the things we should invite to the family dinners.
And I say, everyone's fine, or they're the same. So the opposite of the first statement.
I am ready for me now, cognizant of the power of my words.
Because sometimes this poetry, it be like holy scripture.
And their meeting, crump thuddy shot staccatoed, would have led to something more. A sequel.
A Dunkin' Donuts is not the appropriate scene for an exhuming. Jacob is back from Baltimore, and I'm back from the latest funeral, or reminder of one, and I've ordered a hot chocolate in July because the last winter was as stubborn as I am, and neither of us is willing to surrender my bones fully to the other. But Jacob didn't come here to talk human anatomy or thermodynamics, just to catch up, even though I keep looking to his lips and remembering how he used to let me kiss him in high school when his parents were out, even though he was my straight friend. And I don't think he felt anything then, at least nothing that would qualify as a poem in the right light, only pity for this boy in his arms who would wander to the dugouts down by the fields if it meant the dusty embrace of another boy whose girlfriend didn't know any better, or did but didn't want to know. And Jacob was always the protective type, so maybe he figured this was a noble sacrifice of skin to keep his friend from the kind of shadow and sandpaper love that conservative working-class suburbia offers queer kids. But Jacob didn't come 200 miles to let me be a charity of sex this time. He just came to catch up and ask about Matt and Julia and my mother and my father and my grandparents and college and how my knees are doing ever since I busted them and can't run anymore. And I sketched the outline of his jaw into my mind, since I won't see him for a few more years after we leave, and I say, everyone's fine, or they're the same. So the opposite of the first statement, or half of them are dead, and I've started to wonder how much money my family has donated to the Tombstone Makers Kids College Funds, because maybe that's a consolation, or we try to put flowers and grave blankets out at Christmas, and you'd think that would make the cemetery brighter, but somehow it makes everything look worse, or they said it snowed so much last winter it could cover fire hydrants, or I say nothing, because nobody in this Dunkin' Donuts asked to see a whole row of graves upturned all out in the open and loud like that. And Jacob will be moving away and running half marathons in another city soon, and I'll have a boyfriend, and maybe nothing will stay dead in suburbia, or maybe everything always does. And Jacob says we should go get ice cream the next time he's in town, even though it will probably be winter.
Every day we live, we get one step closer to dying. If this life be a death march, oh, it will not go gentle into that good night. It will not be all elegance and class. My death march cuss a little, the walk of a badass. It starts slow. Brass horns drag something bluesy, slow, gritty. The women humming deep, guttural, slave-style hymnal catharsis for the living, moves saints and sinners alike, acknowledges their grief, draws the winos in from their stoops with their brown paper bag bottle offerings. They pour one out for your girl. A small crowd gathers along the street. Then the tempo quickens. The drums come in. Santana shreds over break beats, turns second line parade party at my death march. This ain't no place for amazing grace. I'm not a wretch and I'm not sorry. This death march is not a soapbox grandstand for rando preachers to eulogize my good time with promises of brimstone, hellfire, scare my fellow sinners into saints, but they can't. I'll come back and flip all this shit over. My death march be haunted. We condom blay up in here, parasols sway up in here, handkerchiefs wave up in here. My death march be a whole movement. Petition Jesus to Lazarus my flesh, so I die again next year. Run this whole party back one more again.
After my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, I put on a shirt that had been folded for months, fallow and dusty in my closet, and I pulled out a long brown chestnut hair from a jagged seam. See, my wife has always had long hair. That waist-length librarian straight loom down her back. She is feast and I famine. Our friends would often say her long hair is what defined her, along with her smile. And when my wife found out the tumor was malignant, she called it her asshole, which shocked our church friends. She said she wanted her asshole removed, which confused the proctologist, but she embraced pruning as a means of growth, survival. When we had to tell our kids that my wife had cancer, my eldest son held it together, made it into math. My daughter shattered like a slipped and soapy plate. But my youngest, the 8-year-old, went silent as sleep, eyes wide and wet. And in a voice like Jesus, young and in the temple wise, he asked his mother, "Will you survive?" And I broke, an oak giving up to the storm. But my wife, she weathered and simply replied, "I'll try." No promise, just an exercise of will behind a wet smile, and she fights like only she can, wears a pink feather boa with a fuck cancer shirt on every time she goes to chemotherapy, but she writhes on the floor a week later when the poison in her body flips her off instead. She tells the oncologist to hollow her out, to ball her like a melon, and she will fight to stay the greenest rind, to plane her straight, take every lump and soft part of her. She will be so much woman without it, vows to be bald and breastless, but still alive, still breathing, evicting this asshole from her body. And I remember all of this as I look at that long brown strand I have excavated from my shirt, from a time when cancer was something other people got, when assholes were simply things that shit and governed Indiana. And I hold that thin strand over the trash can, and I let go. I go downstairs to cuddle with my wife on the couch, kiss her bald head, and she manages a smile that is weak but still her, still there. And when we put our bald heads together, it looks kind of like a butt, except there is no asshole.
were your people? I say that to acknowledge the fact that you don't acknowledge the fact that my people have been disenfranchised from this nation. No hope of promised reparations. In a world where the future of our black males is a multiple choice scenario of psychotropic medication, mass incarceration, destructive frustration, or the always popular all of the above, you turn a blind eye to the very things I'm speaking of. It's like, not your people, not your problem. Because we are an expendable race. An expendable race. Now that kind of thinking creates civil wars and riots. Got young black girls thinking they gotta go on diets to be a certain weight to get a date with a dude who, according to you, has a messed up attitude. Never considering why that guy is more afraid to live than he is to die. Step outside of your skin long enough to recognize his and mine. Step outside of your skin long enough to recognize the melanin he was born in. What if it were your people? Detested by many, a suspect always. Even the light-skinned cats are looking suspicious all day. What if you walk down the street with closer clutched purses, silent under the breath curses, people thinking you were only good for basketball and hip-hop verses? What if someone who looked like you was always on the news like other races don't do stuff too? What if you had to wave the white flag and surrender your ethnicity just to be considered for a white-collar job in the business industry? What if it were your people? Ignored in the store unless it's to be followed, pride swallowed because you have no other choice to shop in this store, in this neighborhood, in this hood where nothing's good and there are no jobs, and if you're lucky you make it home without getting robbed. But what if your people were only seen as criminals and dealers of crack, when in fact that's the pot calling the kettle black? What if your people were given a curfew during a blackout, because you know other races are scared at night to see blacks out? What if your people were seen as the literal black sheep of America causing hysteria anytime they're seen in groups of more than 3? But what if I were you and you were me? Would I behave any differently? Or would I base my thoughts only on what I see? What if I wasn't the minority? What if I was an authority? Would your complexion still mean more to me? Or would I realize that there was more to see? Peace.
Woo! Our memories were sober. It didn't take liquor for me to lick her. I chased her without the sting, without the hair sprouting on my chest burning, and she never ran. We were young. We made fire from simply holding hands. We made fun out of misfortune. We made fear sound like a bedtime fable. We played in fields, but there was never a competition. Never a game where we were at odds. We were teammates. We couldn't face the day alone, and we didn't want to. We wandered, but never too far away from one another. We were home. We got high off of pure laughter, and she was potent. A permanent fixture in my mind's museum. I still haven't met a monument as magical. I've been searching high and low, far and wide, around and about, to and fro, here and there, from now and then, from pillow to post, and I still find myself itching for that feeling of friendship, for that freedom that binds, for that bond that's unfettering. We made love, y'all, without ever having to touch. It seems as though now that type of relationship is intangible. I've been entangled by lust, my limbs lured in, cemented by seduction. My trust to believe that anybody has the tools to build with me has trickled into thin air. I'm still trying to grab hold of myself. Sometimes I laugh in self-loathing and ask, what do I look like holding anybody else? The only time my arms are wrapped around her body is after my hands are wrapped around the bottle. The only time my tongue knows how to move is when the weed reminds me to speak. I don't have much to say these days. My mind only rattles every now and again. My mouth has learned to follow suit. I can only dress up a conversation after bathing in comfortability. I've only come close to sharing in that a couple times. I miss speaking without the fear of consequences. I miss conversing without the need of conquering. I miss conjuring up love without potions. I miss pleasing my lover without imputing myself. I guess I miss being sober. I miss having passion toward my person. I miss my person having pure intentions with me. I miss valuing what somebody has to say. I miss saying I love you and meaning it. I miss being sober. I miss losing the game and laughing because it was on purpose. I miss accidentally hitting my person too hard during a play fight. I miss being high off of life with the woman I adore. I miss being drunk in love, wasted, still searching the bottom of the barrel of time for more. I miss being sober. I've learned as I recover not to cover up this addiction to love. I'll lay here, allow my wounds to catch some air as healing to be open. Regardless of the draft or wind, the scabs are peeling. And for the right one, I don't think I'd mind being torn apart again. I know I'll find her soon.
I've been walking with the dead. In between their stones, the rock hard remove of them, the 6 feet under to my 6 feet of separation, my 6 degrees of separation. The view this year, which has made time elastic, slides days and months from the first year with COVID into the second, into the third, into whenever. And I think about that word, COVID, the deliverance of it, on wings, corvid, COVID, crow, a blackened sheen of bird, a companion, a harbinger. Here are facts. My dad died in this best and worst time for it with the grieving world. He joined my mother. I was looking out a sunshined window with the real talk in my ear of family and doctors. I stared at a painting of an owl my lover made me, making arrangements to let go of my father. Without COVID, that bird would not have come for him. COVID adjacent. One wing to another winging. I am never getting over this dripping expanse of time, which only knows skyline, birds, nature, terrarium, reminding all of us to look up and out. Budding flowers, shedding leaves and back again. Those are the real clocks of time. It is a day, a perpetual reality of now, whatever season it is, more than any human construct. I am still sitting, walking with the stones, marveling at the long lives that survived other plagues, flus, war, dysentery, and those who didn't. And I am thankful to be alive. When I ate that crow, when I caught that corvid, it lacked severity and I was grateful. I could still smell coffee beans, clove cigarettes. I tasted horseradish, hazelnuts, German red cabbage, the crisp of apple, the tart of ginger, and I was held by friends who are now family, a grace I hope to return. It's amazing how much shine there is, even in and through our longest days, how everything still moves with or without us. The world rumbles on in voices, cars, like the reclamation of a building by ivy and kudzu. This, the year of hypochondria, real pains and bacterias, the ache of mystery moving through my body, bloodless days and clutched belly, broth and chicken, rice and tea, flare in reaction to shots and vaccines. This is the year of many years. Shots, not unlike the flares of riot shots, in reaction to bullets, shots. Decades, hundreds even, fighting for this human right to breathe. how we are all connected in this more than ever, global, local, and yet siloed in our isolations, friend after friend consoled in separateness, how we dream communal dreams and theories. And I remember I am not alone, even as I am the only one in this body, hanging out with crows, walking in the cemetery, trying to heal old wounds and new ones I both can see and can't see, pulling tarot cards, taking good care of myself in this thread of existence, writing spider that I am in this terrarium of light and dark, curfew, lockdown, shut in, raising the lid periodically, thunderously alive.
Mama, may I look into your eyes once more? See your beautiful smile, feel your warm embrace, hear you calling out to me. Come here, baby, let Mama kiss it and make it feel better. And yes, your kisses always took my pain away. Mama, help me erase the image of you lying lifeless. Being only a child, I could not comprehend that you were never coming home to me again. I looked into your final resting place, wondering why you would not wake from your deep slumber. Of course, the family tried to explain by saying that you'd gone to take your honored place, and that God needed another angel by his side. But after a while, I just couldn't take anymore, and I screamed, I need my mama more than God. But in reality, my lips, they never parted, and no one could hear my inner cries. So I decided that I wasn't going to worry. I told myself that it was all just a bad dream. I'm going to wake up. You just wait and see. And Mama, she'll be right here standing next to me. But days turned into weeks and weeks into years. And from this nightmare, I could never escape. The ability to share graduation, promotions, marriage, the birth of my children, even the simple act of saying Happy Mother's Day were all stolen away on that fateful day. Flashback to a silly child's pitiful cries. Mama, please open your eyes. Mama, please don't leave me. Mama, if you ever really loved me, don't let this be. Goodbye.
Obsidian, a volcanic rock, technically glass, can be as brittle as brilliant, very heavy in large deposits, craft blade dangerous when fresh, too hot to handle, can sharpen to surgical precision. These Obsidianweight champions will bring a rock massive and iridescent, edges so sharp that turntable stylist becomes weaponized, cuts that your local college DJ can't resist. Broadcasts will come with warning disclaimers. Gonna sound like earth heaving, grace under pressure until magma and steam create a vent the hard way, megaton blast, radiation and fallout encore. Gonna sound like Shango, shaming the devil at a block party at the crossroads. This band is live alligator in your gumbo, rocket fuel in the whiskey, locomotives revving underground, melting the track in their wake. This band gonna sound like Great Migration through Marshall Stacks. This band gonna be djembe, DJ, and effect pedal. Gonna bleed unadulterated acid soul, even if ignored the beat drop. Jazz finger solos versus blues tempos, gut bucket woofers, and gospel tweeters. This band gonna be the baddest, like recess kids cussing with the motherfucking bullhorn. This band gonna escape every attic rehearsal with a taste for riot and a fuse lit by the funk. Hit the switch, hit the goddamn pit. This band gonna sound like a front man's last 100 spent on a long distance audition after flunking 2 midterms. Think you can see us in the battle of the bands? You got a problem on your hands. Come get some of this shrapnel and angst, stomp and sway and all this gravity. See a griot reading news and fortunes in the motion of the mosh, sounding like freeform poetry with ancestors whispering through the monitors. Hit him again, my child. Hit him again. This band will accompany Funeral Pyre and Phoenix Rising. Gonna sound like sub-Saharan diasporic litanies and anthems. This band gonna sound like lift every voice and chant up the sound. Babylon, your throne gone down. This rock, a fragile danger, gotta be handled with love. We arrived not just to rock a party and in all stages of matter. Sweating electric current through dark matter. Keeping current on dark matters. Keeping current while in the dark matters. Like all descendants of Sister Rosetta, the Obsidianweights will remix time, shred space, scratch surface to core, ignite the biggest bang with talking drum, lightning fury, and kinetic coda.
Shouting frantic hyperbole over some non-existent attack on the right to bear arms, while what you truly came for was the right to their womb. The thief in the night, the snake oil salesman, the father who still thinks he knows best. 67 years later, the television sitcom, still the perfect title for the poison of patriarchy. Father knows best. You've always convinced yourself as you reminisce of the days when your TV screen was black and heavy on the white. Father knows best how to run your segregated 1950s life, your quaint little home, closet doors kept tightly shut. Father knows best how to sit in his easy chair, newspaper in hand, and demand obedience. 20 years before Jane Rose left Hook sent Henry Wade and all of Dallas County to the mat. When you came to, you were bruised and scarred from the knockout blow. The court having the audacity to tell you someone's uterus did not belong to you. You've been plotting your revenge ever since. Father knows best. You still declare, even decades into the 21st century. Father knows best. About fallopian tubes he does not have, about a clitoris he never even bothers to find. Father knows best. As you continue to glorify the father of your country who thought he could own and control the entire bodies of hundreds of humans. Father knows best. The father of your party grabbed him by the pussy and you decided you had the right to do the same. Father knows best. Say 4,392 Catholic priests. I guess fathers still can't keep their hands to themselves.
Hi, my name is Valentine Ventura, and this poem is titled The Bully's Effect. As a kid, I was picked on a lot for a number of reasons. Always too tall, skin was too dark, my teeth sat too far apart. And yeah, I was a bit weird. But God, at least I was nice to people. At least I didn't ruin someone's sense of self, leaving them with a lifetime of self-loathing for some sort of sick joke. Let me be clear. Bullies are bastards that deserve to burn, making a hell for queer kids in a space where they're supposed to learn. I can hardly describe the anxiety that crept up my spine when I would pass my popular peers in the hallway, halting their conversations to stare. Then came the howling laughter like a pack of wild hyenas. So I took my mom's advice, and sometimes I would confront them, stick up for myself even, but this just made them laugh harder. And my face would burn hot with this embarrassment because it always felt like I was stuck on the outside of an inside joke, like I was the punchline, like there was something about me that I was missing. And you know what? It really sucked. Being that vulnerable and fragile and still having everyone lining up to take a swing at you. Thank you.
Lady Justice is one of the long-missing indigenous women. Her face won't be on a milk carton or in a viral Facebook post. She was a powerful black woman known as Mayat and Isis and Kalaratri. She was stolen from the land, and in her place the Greeks offered Diki and Themis, whose face was far more pale. But even she was stolen away when one day Emperor Augustus crowned Justita as the new justice. She was not allowed in public, no, not while Rome set about conquering the whole world. Rape, murder, and pillage could not be condoned by justice, so they made her mute. But that was not enough. Britain, too, could not abide with justice. Though mute, she found ways to break the silence. There is always a way with the heart. So they blindfolded her, that she could not see the blood covering the white hands of the captors. Once the New World became America, they had no need for justice at all. Even through the blindfold, she could see the genocide and desecration. The screams, cries, prayers could not escape her ears. She lifted her sword in fury and has not been seen since. Oh, sure, America made little statuettes of very white, very placid women holding scales, trinkets, to remind them of their cleverness, and to remind the poor and melanin people of the world that justice is now stone and lifeless. Somewhere in South Dakota, as the sun sets upon the grassy plains, justice lies in a shallow, unmarked grave. As the New World dances in drunken revelry, thinking they have seen the last of Our Lady, a tsunami rises from the deep. A scream wells up, shaking the crust of the land. A fire of rage sparks in the Oregon forests. For justice had many daughters. They know the names of Mayat, Isis, and Kalaratri. Their swords have been sharpened by the pain of centuries. And they are not silent, nor porcelain, nor blindfolded.
God is just an alchemist, made man out of stardust, say that can make the pain something to behold, even if it is declawing a rose to hold closer. And what is a flower without its fangs? Just more colors in the wind, just what God made him, until revision. Just what got sacrificed to summon faith, love, another line, another moment. Another feather plucked from Icarus, a reminder we cannot suck the seeds out the sun without burning our tongues, the hubris of homunculus, to forget the days we were dust before flesh, waiting to breathe, and one day we'll return to the ether, ethereal beings, no more pain echoing through bones, just raw matter. Again, fistfuls of potential, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to be thrown again against the sky. Turn our humanity into star fuel And what galaxies will be birthed from our ashes this time? What solar systems will be snatched from the black maw of space and given a home? The alchemist stirs the sky, wondering what matters will shower down and inspire life anew.
The crouching lion waits, snow-kissed, an old volcano shrouded in mist, and the shade of Arthur, cold as ice, stalks on treacherous, grim-faced crags and scans his smoke-palled city. Aldriki is its name. Arthur sits proud, surveying his kingdom of rabbit and fox, round Duddingston, St Margaret and Dunsapie, his handmaiden lochs. On May Day, still a fairy ring gathers around St Anthony's Spring, and sonsy lassies wash their cheeks and splash their een in the morning dew, then climb the hill for its stately view. Beware weird witches when the wind blaws a howl, casting dark spells on Mushet's cairn and the windy gowl. And the ghosts of victims of Burke and Hare, they say, might have been buried there, and many a criminal's plotted death in drunken tones on smoky breath. Be cautious if you're out at night, for even now, out in the dark, revellers and the bedevilled both will make their mischief in the park.
So let me just start like this. I talk a lot about mental health because I think that's important in our Black community, right? Yeah. We all need to open our hearts and our minds and make sure that, we talk about our feelings because those are okay. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be happy. Significance with Tupac, right? Rose with Concrete. So we're just going to get right to it. You know that feeling of everything being against you? Like, no matter what path you choose, there's always something blocking you. You know that road of pain that tries to trick your brain that you aren't worth much? Or that depression and that anxiety telling you to give up, this road is too hard? It's an everyday battle. To have one thing go right, this constant fight with life trying to obtain a goal you set weighs heavy. Feels like you're punching through concrete, just trying to see a little light. Just a tiny bit can give you so much hope. Trying to make progress towards your goals. There's not a soul helping you, and it feels like you have nothing to fall back on. All you have is yourself and your dream. So what do? Bank account low, bills due, you gotta eat and feed your family too? It seems easier to do all the wrong things instead of staying the course. My word of advice, you fight. You don't give up. You give yourself those positive words, affirmations, and motivational quotes.
Boy meets girl after battle 1. We took Route 20, the lanes bombed, chalk white, and marched until sunset, too tired to fight. Kids stood by the roadside, all curious, unclean, some of them children, some of them teens. One girl was nice, her smile just so sweet. Jonesy stopped and talked while she hobbled, crutch lean. But then in blasted Sarge like a storm out of hell and chewed out dumb Jonesy 'cause the dumbass was too close. Shit, you never can tell. Boy meets girl after battle, 2. Pretty in the morning, disfigured by afternoon, the girl lies under rubble where a soldier spots her, not realizing that 3 hours earlier, everything else being equal, he would have felt differently, and their meeting, crump-thuddy, shot staccatoed, would have led to something more. A sequel. Boy meets girl after battle, 3. The shrapnel tore a gouge from her left eye to her chin. The artillery barrage and its concussive blasts made the roof of her house fall in. Then the collapsing wall avalanched blocks and broke some ribs, leaving her in a state of shock. 3 hours later, still alive, a platoon found her there. One soldier poked her with his foot, the next pretended to shoot. The third gave the girl water, and the fourth looked for something to loot.
The gas chamber. Blades slice the shrieking air, make it gasp in despair. Baby heads bludgeoned, brain bits scatter, hearts stunned. Blood smear soaks saturate the earth, arid and bare. Consciousness of humanity weeps, drains, depletes. I see you pulling away from the heartless hand as you are herded into a metal cage, lowered into the chamber of gas, an abyss sinister and eerie. Lungs burn in tatty threads, knot, twist, tangle, squeezed out of air. Limbs give away, writhe in pain, your convulsing body helpless. Foam erupts from the gaping mouth, layer on layer on layer. Gas vents ooze death like pus, roast the innards. Not long after they are presented in posh platters, dipped in sauce. Garnished with herbs, local produce, no mention of gas chambers. And you thought gassing lays dead in the tombs of tarnished yesteryears. Bacon, beef, breasts. Speak a lot, speak aloud. Cry like hell, sob endless. Humane is a hoax. Lies wrapped neatly, sold to the mindless. How it surpasses human ears is an enigma. Is it because our stomach is a dark, thunderous cloud, a bottomless pit? A sinkhole devouring the veils of our own heart. The guttural cries of beaks, hooves, snouts, scales, fins, feathers, and the burning planet. Knifed the jugular, skewered the heart, chomped into our circle of life, and mocked us beastly, piggish dens? The slaughtered will live here forever, guarding the walls of the gas chamber, clawed, scratched, grotesquely etched, even though they couldn't save themselves from your predatory lust.
I've been since you've gone with no reason why, like Wordsworth's cloud in the empty sky. I've cried more tears than Smokey's clown into Julie's river dammed with a frown. I've been as angry as Marshall Stan, crazed and confused like a madman, and I'm telling you, like Carly to Warren, your vanity's ugly, you're abhorrent. Like Gallagher Sally, you've missed your turn, and in my thoughts you will burn. I'll be gone, but you won't miss me. I'll be forgotten like the Beatles, Miss Rigby.
For the last 2 days, Jasmine's mom has been talking about Murciélagos until the stories become shadowed by the night. So when its wings move across my face and move too fast, I cringe. I tell my family that I think a bat brushed against my cheek just before it disappeared into the tree that drapes around the neck of the front door. My grandma tells me no, that doves live in those trees, the bats in that unused bathroom. She says it's certain, like she saw what I couldn't, or like maybe she didn't want it to seem as bad as it was. I still don't know if it was dove feathers or bat skin that I felt, if I should smile or be scared. What I have learned is that sometimes family has a hard time distinguishing or being honest about the things that are dangerous and the things we should invite to the family dinners. You can't believe anyone because things look so different when you're in the dark, and they change so easily when someone else tells the story.
Sometimes I do. I get beside myself, feeling sorry for myself, expecting certain recognition for my position. Though I've worked hard at developing intriguing lines sometimes, there are no finger snaps and no hand claps after the performer, me, takes the stage and gives about the pain that they've been through. And sometimes I see strangers in the crowd. And yes, there's a disappointment from seeing no familiar faces as I fill the spaces of beating hearts and thoughtful minds. It only pushes my pen further across tear-stained notebook lines, and eventually I'll write something as astounding and beautiful and surprising as Barack Obama's letter to the family of Nipsey Hussle. Continuing in this marathon of competitions and features and poetry slams and openly using the mic to share how the poetry has been the blood in my veins. It's just a force inside me, described as a gift, something shareable, immeasurable, worth value, and shines bright as a mother's smile, staring at her child. But somehow, I got lost trying to win over supporters and forgot my original purpose. To share how the poetry had revived my mental energy just from the memorization of the very lines I had written, called redemption through reliving. Not so they can say that I had bars or I was spitting, so they know that surviving and cleaving amongst racism and unfair wages and late night gun wars that often explode and end in a black man dying or a black family losing are so real that I put it on paper and mark history with dates frozen in memory like the t-shirts we make to represent our fall and all the times I got off my knees praying for strength from God to continue to move forward, drawing energy from God and the sun. And yes, with every ink pen stroke, I do continue moving forward. I mean, sometimes I do get lost in these words. Some derive from depression, some derive from grief. But this poetry, it says that I've overcome. And I'm not done. I love when others listen. Perhaps I am a storyteller, a walking, talking reenactment of the events that enclosed me inside my sanctuary when my first cousin died in a house fire. It's amazing. It's ironic. Even in the midst of death, we are drawn what we aspire to be. And he went further in the house to save a kid, a selfless act, a hero. So now I walk and talk and spit this poetry to my writer friends and rappers and audiences to let them know that inside you are all heroes. Because sometimes this poetry, it be like holy scripture, recited out loud to self for healing, or we transmit it to the heavens to say, Mama, I still love you. Trayvon, we ain't forgot you. Sandra Brand, I'm still saying your name. We, or should I just say me? This poet still representing black lives that matter. Or all the young blood of our young black men that have been spilled on these pavements that have seen decades of disasters. I write about them caskets. I write to share with the world, despite those failed goals, despite those woes. You have the ability to heal yourself inside with your own written words.
an epigraph by Emily Dickinson. After great pain, a formal feeling comes. Doctor. Weight presses in my chest. No, it's not a heart attack, it's a formality. How do you do to the landmines of symptoms rumbling all week, hazards waiting to be wreaked? Sure, there's relief when the complaints have a name, but there's also, well, grief. It's time to concentrate on you, you say. Why? Why hold my gaze on body wasting away, caught in a sickness game, aware you're gonna hurt today? Chronic means this is my life. I do not want to prescript it away. I'm tired of the words and numbers that explain my current state. When a diagnosis puts a notion in your head, remember the arts belong in medicine, see me instead, a human tapestry painted with this, just another office where my body ricochets from dosages to side effects like earthquakes sway. What's the difference? In a war on disease and a war on me. Treatment, a battlefield while my body speaks. I've nearly died so many times. Einstein says only a fool repeats a process expecting a new outcome. Can we listen? I've heard dis-ease means my body communicates its needs, shouts from the pulpit of blood tests and body aches. Maybe the next prescription I need is to re-script my previous lifestyle to lead to the cure that frees me. Healing is as much about being a human soul as it is about the suffering body, dear doctor. With treatment, refuse the language of body decimated in the name of medicine. I'm tired of being both battlefield and weapon jettisoned. Speak gently as my body endures the fight. Toxins loose in body systems. Instruct me when I hold on too long to old ways of thinking. Walk with me when disease breaks me right before it breaks free. Healing, the greatest transformation. So doc, paint me a picture of what health might be, how recovery can be opened like champagne, bubbly and spouting, how together we can take steps to find hearts that are doubting and prescribed me laughter into wholeness with friends. The art is in us, Doc. Let us start again to a symphony score, playing to the tune of a broken soul's communion with its body. Hear the melody surface and ebb with the breaths I breathe. It's not the end. Hear the music. Perhaps I will not die from this. Perhaps I will only suffer for a bit. My life canvas taut and thin. Health is configuring my mind to my body as much as it is prescription doling. Wait for another moment, another medicine, another life. I have to live.
The truth is, she came hissing and moaning, slithering, dripping blood upon the earth. She was all belly and hearth, starving, having been left alone in childbirth, after conceiving the cosmos, the oceans, and rugged terrain. The truth is, she came first, all full moon halo, chanting, guttural as out of her womb, and spewed dirt, dirt, and earth. I feel you, tenuous and afraid. Curses, you shudder, chilled in the corner, as your lips crumble to dust, scalps itching, nowhere to thrust, words, lies, hips, Bibles. Scared, because she came without you, screaming ecstasy as she became both man and woman, and all that lives in between and beyond. Her tears, the first to bring life up from the soil, and she grew legs strong and stable. Every fall, I return to her, clutching my barren womb, toes gripping mud, and I rage and I howl, completely undone, surrendering blood, wisdom roaring, shaking, thundering. I am Adam. I am Eve. I am the serpent. I am the apple. And bless this sweet hell, I am God.
Don't get it fucked up. It's love in here. So even if you're staring at me, my mindset has elevated to where looks aren't always what they appear. Maybe you're just acknowledging my presence because we're all in the same tribe, so you're just affirming my reverence and not give my respect back. Instead of turning my back and grabbing the strap, we aren't meant to do that, but some of us aren't aware that guns were spoon-fed to us with a touch of crack to top it off. But being innovators, we changed the culture to unfortunately poison ourselves, leading to a destruction to a people once lifeless. We forgot what it is to being a tribe or a gang. The true definition is priceless. We originated by protecting our group of people that were negatively affected by the police and prices. So in order to survive, we had to conform to our vices. We had no choice but to make money to provide. But the ones closest were the only ones we could reach. So we lost touch from our original purpose. Now I'm making strides back to love and camaraderie. We have more inspirations to truly feel free. Even with my hands in the air, I have this common feeling, man. I just want to be free as the spirits of those who left. But we need to protect our people when they're receiving a threat, because they have a higher knowledge that we shouldn't forget. So brother, tell me why the only trait you portray is strength. It's like you're cutting yourself short because you're overlooking the lengths of where you can go. You can show vulnerability. Don't box yourself in. You have volatility. A comprehensive man adapting to certain circumstances. Just know you have chances. Sister, tell me why you have to carry all that weight on your back. I know it's a lot on your plate, but let us help you with that. Because you have a planet full of supporters that are ready to attack. Because you deserve better, and don't let them tell you otherwise. So go ahead and start that enterprise and prove the motherfuckers wrong and show them what they fear. Us collaborating to show them we still here, and the fact that we not going anywhere. So don't get it fucked up. It's all love in here.
Overhanging trees. This was among my dreams during the nights, after the dogs got me up, after I finally summoned sleep from the dust under the bed. We walked out of the building, not holding hands yet, got separated by some folks coming up the walk. I saw you turn toward the playground. You were out of sight by the time I followed. The parkway was rich with trees that shattered the afternoon light. Thick privets were interrupted by river-quarried rock walls and fading gray driveways. I knew where I'd find you. Which swing your legs would push higher and higher as you laughed. Instead, you stepped away from a wall and spun me around and pushed my back to the stones while your body pressed against me and your mouth opened over mine with a heart full of hunger behind it, and our hands were tree limbs moving everywhere in the gale that sprang from us. We moved apart, held hands, headed toward the swings to pretend we were children. I'm glad the dogs didn't wake me again until morning.
My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend. Just a homie lover friend he can count on, his backbone. Someone who will stand tall when he needs someone to lean on, someone he can feel on, as long as the feelings aren't strong. As long as he can pull out and pull away when things get too tight or too deep. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, but we go on dates though. There's just no calendar mark anniversary days, so my boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend to give gifts to. Just an occasional nice gesture, a come through, I miss you, a girl who always comes through, a clutch, a rider, a Bonnie without a Clyde. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, just a girl he makes future plans with but doesn't have any real plans with. Just a girl who caresses his chest after he's puffed it out, proudly proclaiming how single he is, but that doesn't keep him from lurking on her page to see what other men have to say or what emojis they left, because bitches love smiley faces. And speaking of which, my boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, but he got bitches though. And God forbid his "she is not my girlfriend" hold around half as much as he did, because he got just a friend but will be mad as hell if she got just as friendly with other men. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, just a girl who lies to herself before he even gets the chance. A girl who is witty, funny, and smart as shit, so before he's even done it, she's already aware of it. A girl who has everything going for her, except for her ability to make smart decisions. So she doesn't stray, doesn't really say anything. She stays tight-lipped both ways for him. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, but he got a key to her heart, though. And a key to her car. Just someone he tries to forget about, but it drives him crazy when she's not around. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, just someone he loves to spend time with. And they have a lot in common, like they both love the same movies, the same music, and they both love the shit out of him. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, just a partner in crime. And he stays committing misdeeds, but stays from committing to me. Just a girl who washes her hands over the knowledge and the remnants of another girl's presence in his bathroom sink. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, but there ain't no girlfriend like the one he ain't got. And she takes solace that she's on top, even though she shouldn't have to compete, because really what's winning first prize, though, when you still don't get a title? And seeing that labels are made to be peeled off anyway, I guess if we don't have a label, then we don't have an expiration date. And since my boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, how do we break up only halfway? So we go on like this forever, or for however long it takes for it to finally go bad, or for me to just break. My boyfriend ain't got a girlfriend, but he got me, though. Just a girl with a strong hold on the little we have, but not strong enough to let him go.
After Tina Ramirez, Republican candidate for the 7th Congressional District of Virginia, who posted on Facebook, "What are you paying for gas?" Lions. We are paying for gasoline with lions, elephants, rhinoceroses, polar bears, snow leopards, pandas, koalas, sea turtles, and 11 species of birds declared extinct in 2021. We are paying for gas with wildfires, hurricanes, floods, droughts, and famines. We are paying for gas with the entire nations of Tuvalu, Micronesia, Kiribati, Bora Bora, Tahiti, Vanuatu, the Philippines, Grenada, the Marshall Islands, the Maldives, Palau, Fiji, Seychelles, Solomon Islands, Cape Verde, and the Canary Islands, Spain, the Torres Strait Islands, Australia, Tangier Island, Virginia, Hatteras Island, North Carolina, and the island of Shishmaref, Alaska. We are paying for gas with a sustainable food supply, with tomatoes, spinach, lettuce, asparagus, romaine, bell peppers, oranges, strawberries, and bananas. We are paying for gas with rivers and the endangered river salmon gasping in the mud, dried lake beds with mineral rings at their lowest point, empty aquifers, and water rationing. We are paying for gas with our natural wonders, the glaciers, the icebergs, the old-growth forests, the snow-capped mountains, the oceans teeming with life, the rainforests, the waterfalls, the rolling coastlines. We are paying for gas with winter, with snowmen and icicles and sledding and skiing. We are paying for gas with the glory of waking up to a winter morning world in silent, pristine white. We are paying for gas with human bodies, As the vulnerable in Texas freeze, as the vulnerable in Oregon suffocate, and the vulnerable in Vancouver drown, we are paying with political unrest as people fight over the last food, the last water, in the last livable places on the planet. The bodies will pile up in war, in conflict, in unnatural disaster. We are paying for gas with the next generation's future.
Fractured letters and phrases that won't bond with adhesive or glue. Ideas trapped, incarcerated, creativity with no clue. A voice with no amplification or direction. My soul, crippled. Words that are trapped inside an unstable vessel due to self-induced encapsulation. It's something like a tragedy, really.
I don't know exactly when it happened, but one day I looked up and it was just gone. Silence became my new scream, and in my head was the only place I felt like I belonged. Perhaps it was that toxic ex that always told me to keep my mouth shut. Or perhaps it was the times my dad didn't come like he promised. When he was on his way, he always seemed to have a string of bad luck.
I know who and what I was, and who and what I am, but there aren't enough rituals, sage leaves, or self-help books in the world to unlock creativity from a tongue that's gone numb. Throat chakra stagnant. My lyrical babies miscarried, never brought to full term. This mother got fucked and kept on getting knocked up when my mind wasn't ready to give birth. Can you even imagine all the ideas I aborted?
Those were the moments that just took my breath away. And then my voice went right along. I wanted to start speaking up, but inside it always felt so wrong. So I picked up my pen and started writing, and the words just wouldn't stop. Here was a place I could speak my mind, and not a soul in this world could make me stop. This new world of writing was amazing. It was a place that I felt so free. But as much as I liked to write, it just wasn't enough for me.
Change and grief can really mess you up sometimes. You will look at the beauty you bring and think this is of no value. You'll have to sift through times and moments you actually believed in your reflection. Find and hold tight to them. Find the time where Queen was spoken and believed. Sit at the feet of spirits and let them feed you. Chew and digest. Let the nourishing seep into your veins. Breathe in belief. Wrap yourself around yourself and know you're surrounded by love. Let those plants of doubt be unwatered. Let them dry, wilt. Let the brittle foliage fall and dissipate, to be left and blown away. I am ready for me now, cognizant of the power of my words.
The words prayed to not stay a slave to the page, and my word prayed to fall on ears. So I gave my words the life they asked for, forcing me to face my fears. So I spoke my words out loud, shaking and trembling the entire time. And then people began to want more of this small, trembling voice of mine. But now, I'm a beast. No one can stop me from using this voice. And if someone tries to take yours, remember, it's yours. You have a choice.
Yo, Ma, yo, sexy, where you going?
What's up?
Where you going?
I'm going outside.
She ain't going without me.
Oh, really?
Oh, you already know what it is.
Alright.
No matter how many times I roll my eyes, y'all seem to think I haven't heard it all.
Now I didn't know this was a questionnaire, but I'll play a game to be a first string player. Pops is an angel, mom's still here, she's overprotective, best and clear. And yeah, I have a J.O.B. By day I'm a teacher, at night an MC. Parties and functions and rocking this mic, and I'm pushing a Lexus when I take flight. And my son is all to the G, 1 week with her, 1 week with me. Let's see me, I'm solo dolo with a couple fans that got my photo. But you got my boa constricted, the look in your eyes say you wanna get it. Look into my hand, it's a 7th digit. I had you at a low winning lottery ticket.